So, Michelle, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am excited to be inspired with you.
Well, we're very excited to hear about everything that you've done. You have quite the reputation, and you have a lot of friends that have joined our Instagram live. So many comments. We're just, I guess, floored by your reputation. And I understand that you're celebrating 20 years. So
I
tell us.
am. I can't believe it. I took the time from summer until December to really think about how I was going to put 20 years forward. And I think the journey, I think everyone should mark their milestones because it really honestly had me feel almost relaxed. This year has been so hard and it really kind of allowed me to sort of settle into where I am. So
Right,
thank
right.
you. It is a huge accomplishment.
It is. It's a very big accomplishment. How did you get started? How did you become a wedding or a destination expert
Well,
planner?
I had a floral design business, and that's really what launched my career. And then, of course, you paint the hallway, you have to paint the house. So I would start asking questions, and I would be anxious because I felt like somebody wasn't doing it the way that I wanted. And I also, I did my first destination wedding, and it was in the Caribbean. And I, went on a site inspection, and everything went wrong. You know, it was raining and it was winter and the airline lost my luggage, and I pretty much ticked every box of why you shouldn't like something, and I got bit by the bug from the very first one. So and here I am so many years later.
Do you ever look back and think like I definitely have a natural calling for this? Like,
I do. My parents would say, thank God you became a producer because you basically, your resume, I would redo my resume and I'd have to delete like the 42 things below it. So, as a producer, you've done a little bit of everything. And I have, I've worked in catering and cooked in field kitchens and went to cooking school, and I was a waitress, and I worked in publishing. I mean, so it's a good catch-all. For anybody that doesn't feel focused, wedding planning's a good catch-all.
it definitely keeps you focused, right? Definitely keeps it in mind.
Yeah.
So you were talking a little bit earlier about how you went to go get your hair done at the plaza and you ran into this couple. Tell us a little bit about what you saw and what they were doing.
Well, I actually, went to get my hair done today, and I came out of the salon at the plaza, and actually I ran into Mike, who actually runs the catering department there. And I think I scared that couple half to death. I was like, Mike! And he said, Michelle! And he was like, she's an amazing wedding planner. I'm pretty sure I scared them to death. And but I was so excited because New York is opening for business, and
Right.
we it's going to take a lot of intrepid voices to support moving forward. So I was very enthusiastic to see that.
That's exciting. I think March, right? They lifted,
Yeah,
um,
March.
yeah, the guest count to 150 now, is it?
150. They're going to do 150. Everybody has to test. And, frankly, I don't think I'll ever fly without a mask again because I
Right,
haven't even gotten a sniffle in a year. So,
right.
there's a lot about it that I think creating a comfort level for guests and vendors so that everyone can feel as if they're able to bring their A game and do their best.
I love that. So what's the first step brides should take when planning a destination wedding? Where do you start?
Well, I mean, I think, there's a lot of due diligence that goes into it. I'm not sure people realize how much discovery goes into deciphering what location is right for you. And let's say when someone calls us, I do, this discovery call, and it's a brain dump, and I ask them everything. Don't edit yourself. Tell me if it's California, if it's Mexico, if it's the middle of the country, a ranch, or Caribbean. Talk to me about what experience you want to have. So you've got to think about what climate you want to be married in, how long you want to wait, how many guests you want to have, and the buckets quickly start going like this. If you're 350 people, that's a certain size hotel. If you only want to be in a resort, that's a certain type of experience. If you want everybody to be in golf carts and at separate properties, that's a different experience. If you only want one plane ride, well, that, so there's all these questions that we ask to be able to understand what people are willing to say yes to.
Right. No, that's really good advice. And how do they go about planning a destination during COVID? Where do you what kind of things do you find that you're layering in that's new?
Yeah. So, I mean, what's new is, as I said earlier, really thinking about, first of all, how many people is going to be mandated. Airlines are now, you have to have guests who are willing to, either take a test and wear masks and follow local custom, which is going to be, I just flew on Delta, and, they say even if you're vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. So there's just going to be I found it all very easy, honestly, not a lot of
Right.
effort. So that's one thing. The second piece will be, I think you'll find outdoor weddings, tent weddings are going to be huge.
Right.
Because I think, it'll be a comfort level for people to feel like there's a lot of air and you're not in a confined space. So,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
I can see that. And I know that you were giving us some advice of what they should be considering, your top do's and don'ts. I know you've covered a little bit, but what else can you add to that?
so my top do's and don'ts are definitely going to site inspection.
Mhm.
Looking at pictures will never, ever reflect the true essence of a place. And, you don't necessarily know, you've got to, what is the airport like? What is it like getting to and from the airport to the location? If it's rainy, where can guests go and what is there to do? So I think that's number one for me. Number two, definitely read your contracts. A lot of people do this, they're like, oh, I just want it. And,
Right, right.
and those are not only protections for the property and for you as the individual, as the client, but as circumstances might unfold, there are conversations that you'll have as the event progresses. So that's very important. And then assessing local resources. There are some islands in the Caribbean that have great rental companies, and you'd be surprised. And there are some that don't, and everything's got to come in on container. So you may, tick 7 out of the 10 boxes for why you choose a location, but those are three that I think. And the other thing that I just, I want to drive home is, that experience really does matter in this post-COVID world that we're in. And not only for navigating, we're not COVID experts, but, we are able to navigate more sophisticated conversations out of experience.
Mhm.
And I think, COVID has really affected the economics of planning weddings, and to understand, and I think, whether it's a hotel owned by, an individual or by an entire group, everyone's shifted their priorities and their resources. And so I do think, experience matters. And if you don't have a planning team, asking tons of questions, again, visiting, understanding the resources, and then having dates set with conversations around decisions that you have to make will make things less overwhelming.
You were mentioning that you feel like you should hang out. Actually visit the destination, hang out, have a drink, sit at the bar, know about times if they can be outdoors past a certain time. Talk a little bit more about that, because I think that's really good advice and
Yeah,
something I wouldn't know.
when I go on site inspections, I build time in to literally just hang. And that
Right.
could be for 24 hours before it all gets kicking. It could be for 24 hours after I do all my meetings. You learn transportation. The drivers will tell you anything if you're nice.
Right.
Bartenders will tell you anything if you're nice. And I'm a very social person. And so I learn a lot about what's going on and who to go to
Right. I
just by
love
simply stinking about.
Yeah, so you're able to kind of mine all this data simply by interacting with these individuals and learning everything you can about the location, the place, and
Yeah.
they can also tell you, things to watch out for, little highlights that you would not know.
Highlights piece too, like the nuggets. If you're when you're writing, people who say, I want a really custom welcome letter. That in and of itself is a solid day of research on a site inspection.
Right, right,
Who makes the best margarita? Is there a local artist, and is that an image that you'd want to use as a logo potentially? So
right.
it takes
Yeah,
time.
yeah, no, it takes time. And talk to me about how a bride makes her dress work for the destination.
Well, location, location, location. So, what I love about Destination is that fashion really steps forward in my imagination. And I
Mhm.
hope after 2020, it'll step forward in everyone else's imagination. And that's, for guys and for girls. Men have started to wear more color. I
Yeah,
mean, men must be bored out of their minds on just a black tuxedo.
right,
They've
right.
got to be. And so now it's blue and
Yeah,
maroon and beautiful color charts. So I'm hoping that silhouettes change. I'm hoping that pattern comes into it more. For me, my European clients have, whether they're American and getting married in Europe or European, have always been more daring.
right, right.
And so
Yes.
I'm hoping that my wish is that people will get more turned on
I
with that.
think so. I think we've inevitably undergone an amazing uh, transformation with all that's happened. I mean, obviously, um, it hasn't been amazing what's happened, but I mean, it looking inward and asking those questions, making decisions not because you ought to make them, but now asking yourself, how important is this to me? Do I really want this, or this really means more to me?
That's right.
So,
And that
yeah,
could be for some brides waiting because they want 350 people. And that can be for other couples who say, we're getting married on that day, no matter what.
right.
So, it really is a gut check
Yeah.
in a great way.
Right, right. A nice little check-in. So we had so many questions. We had someone ask what was the craziest location, and another question was what's the most special part or moment of the wedding?
Craziest for me, and crazy because it was just culturally so unique and a first, would have been
Right.
New Delhi, India.
Wow.
And
How
that
long were you there?
a month. And it was the tent structures were hand lashed out of bamboo. And, for me, I'm such a wedding geek. And just seeing another culture interpret, our vision, and then all of a sudden, they pull up to do the prototype, and the color and the flowers was overwhelming. So that's my craziest. And what was the second?
Uh, the most special part or moment of plant at your wedding, what is the most?
I mean, I'm a ceremony lover because, you do all of this and it's the same, culmination of emotion for me as in a different way than it is that as it is for families. So I love ceremony because it's such a moment of hope and, I think it's beautiful. And of course, the kids have just done whatever they've done and people are emotional and the music crescendo. So that and father-daughter dance.
The father-daughter dance and the ceremony. I have to say, definitely when you attend a wedding, those are the ones that really get you. Those are the tear jerkers, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep, for me.
definitely. So we had so many comments. We had so many people say that Michelle is the one of the greatest humans in the world. So we had someone say that. We also said, love Michelle Rego, love InesdiSanto, having my destination wedding in Bahamas. So we're thankful for that. I guess that
Oh,
brings
I
us to
love
our
the
last question. Sorry?
I love the Bahamas.
Bahamas.
Yeah.
Right, right. Favorite destination wedding you've planned?
Um, oh my gosh, without alienating all the people around the world who I worked with, I have to say that the south of France, Côte d'Azur, is pretty much like the pinnacle of sexiness for me.
Absolutely. Oh, I've
That's
never been.
helicopters and yachts and